How do you make buttons easy to tap on iOS? We're going to be talking about the menu button, which is a new style of button that allows you to have a drop-down menu. And it looks great. It behaves great on different platforms on iOS versus iPadOS. And it's awesome. The problem that I'm having is that it's really hard to touch these buttons. And it's because the default sizes are way, 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 way too small. Hey, what's up? This is Paul Solt, and I am going to show you how you're going to need to configure these buttons because out of the gate, they just don't work like you would expect. So let's take a look at it. The button on the left here, this is sort of the default button. So I've got let's go back into, I'm in my iPhone app. I'm setting a menu bar button right here, just using this image, setting the primary action to nil so that it will default to the menu. And the menu is just a list of elements defined down below. If we jump to definition, you can see that's the menu. And then we jump to this and we can see these are all the actions that I wanted to support. Okay. And each of these has a handler. So I've got these different methods that will get called down below that are going to respond. So if we go back to the code, this creates that, and that's like 2 lines of code, right? Plus all the other stuff that I just showed you. And it's really hard to tap. Now, you don't really notice it if you're on the simulator, but one of the differences you will see on a real device is that your finger is fat, and it's going to be literally on top of the button, and it has to be directly centered to get it to tap because this is a 24 by 24 point icon. And so it's incredibly small. It looks big on this screen, but once it's on my actual iPhone here, it's really hard to touch. And so what I'm expecting is that I should be able to give it a size and it would be bigger than the actual image. And I should be able to tap in that blank space wherever the size is. And so you can sort of see that in action here. Now I'm setting the background color to the system background. And so that is this code right here. We need to do all of this essentially to set it up. So we need to create a UI button because I'm in UIKit land, and I'll show you the SwiftUI equivalent in a second. So this is an older app. I'm trying to retrofit a new button in there. I don't want to just rewrite everything in SwiftUI, and SwiftUI is not the answer. Like it does the same exact thing, which makes me think that like there's some shared code in here doing the same type of hit detection where there's clear pixels. And I guess it's always behaved this way. I've never seen this before. So it's weird, but maybe, no, I think the behavior has changed. I just don't get it. So I have to set the image. I set the frame. So I'm setting how big I want it. Now, if I don't set the background color, we can set this to blue just so you can see the extent. Right now, I'm just trying to match the system background because that's should be what's behind this, though if you're customizing your bar button color, you're going to have to customize that to sort of match whatever style you're doing. And I'm not going to support light mode. This is going to be a dark mode only app. That's just how it is. So clicking on here, you can see that it's popping up here. Sometimes, did you see that? Like sometimes it decides it wants to show. So that's like, it's super glitchy. The first couple of times it seems to want to show right there. So I clicked here, then I click here and it works. But I click again, doesn't work. Buggy. Like I can click, let's see if we can click here. So I can click this one. On an actual iPhone, this definitely feels like it's bigger than the touch target. And then if we come back here, no work. Works? No work. All right. So that's how you get this set up. If I don't have this background color, it defaults to the small size. So if we bring this up, I click, 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 nothing. Tap it, then it works. Click, 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 click. Nothing. So if I tap here, tap off, tap here, doesn't work, tap here, tap off, doesn't work. I don't know. It's super, super weird. So if we go back to the system color, And if you want, you can use constraints, but again, you still have to set the background color or otherwise the tappability doesn't work. So tapping here, it works. Get rid of it. I don't know. I don't know if that's just like a simulator thing where it's like simulating my fat finger because I'm clicking so much. And then if we actually look at it on an iPhone, so let's see if I can demo this. Let's see. It's on that side. So you see that pops up. Really hard to see with my fat fingers. It's a lot easier to feel it, so you have to actually run it. So hard to demo unless I get like a straight over shot where I can actually see what I'm doing. Me holding up is probably not the best for that. Okay, so that is how we can do it in UIKit. To do this in SwiftUI land, we've got the same problem. The default region is really small. So if you use this API to create a menu where it's the, what do they call it? Where it has a localized string key as the first element and then the content. That's where you run into problems because this one doesn't let you can't make this any bigger. The default is gonna, like, if you set the padding, nothing until you get right on it. And I swear that I'm like touching the S and sometimes it doesn't trigger. Like that looks like it's on it to me and it's not clicking. So that's really frustrating. Now, if you have a small icon rather than text, it's going to be even smaller. So something like this, if we were to get rid of the padding, that makes it just a little harder to tap. And so this is in preview. And if we run this on the, oh, it's running on my real device. Probably just want to run this in the simulator. And I don't love the padding because then it makes it so that like it changes the spacing. But for tappability, at least in the navigation bar, like you need it and it's not going to mess up any spacing. So like I'm right on it. And what I want is to make it a little bit easier to tap. So to do that, we add some padding here and we're using the other API. So this is the menu that takes the content and then the label, not to be confused with the one that took the string and then the content. And so if you use this one, you can control the size. So now I should, if I save this and rerun this in the preview, you'll see it got a little bit bigger. And so now it's going to be a lot easier to tap. It's no longer going to be some small icon that's hard to tap. And this is like, it's weird because this button here behaves different than these default buttons. So if you just create default buttons, I just have two different buttons. Like clicking out here in this open space is still part of that button because the button is a bigger tap target than what the text you see. But SwiftUI has sort of adopted this, like only this tight thing is going to be tappable. So that's me playing around with buttons. Maybe this is helpful. I hope that you learned something and enjoy SwiftUI, enjoy UIKit, but know that users are going to be frustrated if your button touch targets are too small. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.